The next question is about labour market inequality, and it's in the name of Assembly Member Twycross. Mr.
Thank you very much, Fiona. Yes, I am concerned about labour market inequality in this city, and we are trying to address some of the problems with the London Living Wage, which has so far proved successful in the sense that there's been a big expansion of the number of firms that are paying it. We are also trying to get young people. It is totally wrong that in London you still have 20% of 16 to 24-year-olds unemployed at the moment, in spite of the boom we are seeing in the London jobs market, the huge number of jobs we are creating. That is an inequality that I think we should be trying to address. We're trying to solve it through the apprenticeship scheme, through the Head Start scheme that we're pushing now with Team London to get kids, get young people in this city a volunteering qualification that always makes them much more employable, and that is being taken up by a lot of businesses across the city. I would, though, draw your attention, Fiona, to the basic, the broad background of what is going on at the moment is very striking, very positive. I mean, the number of jobs in London is at an absolute all-time high. Employment is at an all-time high, 5.432 million jobs. And actually, although in spite of what I said about NEETs and people not in education or training, employment or training, those numbers are now at a record low. Employment in London is now at a high we haven't seen for 25 years. So there are good things going on in the London job market. What we've got to make sure is that young Londoners are able to get the jobs that London is creating.
Absolutely. I just wanted to talk a little bit about women in London, because looking at the statistics around London's labour market, they appear to be, despite some good news, they're suffering a triple whammy in relation to inequality in the labour market. Because despite the overall rise in jobs in London, the number of women who are unemployed has actually risen by 42% since 2008, while male unemployment has fallen by 2%, and the pay gap between men and women in similar roles is increasing, with women still likely, much more likely to be in low-paid work. What specific measures have you carried out to reverse this particular trend in London?
Well, we support all measures that are currently in place to prevent women being discriminated against in their place of work, and it is obviously right that women should be paid the same as men. That is enshrined in our law, and wherever whether people deviate from that or fail to adhere to that, clearly that is a matter that we think is unacceptable, and we certainly lend our support to those who are fighting such injustices and inequalities.
There's a slight difference between lending support and doing things actively, however. I was privileged earlier this year to meet two of the women who fought for equal pay at Dagenham Ford. What would you say to...
At Dagenham Ford?
Yeah, the Ford, the machinists from Dagenham. What would you say to them about the chances that their granddaughters have, and for women in London generally, who still don't have equal pay today? And what specific measures will you undertake to push this agenda forward?
Well, I'd be more than happy.
It's going backwards at the moment.
As I say, I think that it is absolutely vital that this protection for women in the workforce is enshrined in law. The statute is very clear. It is both at a national and indeed at a European level. There can be no deviation from it. If there are particular cases of injustice at Ford in Dagenham that you'd like my help with, then I'm more than happy to do all I can.
I think that's sort of historic. It's sort of about what's happening now, and sort of the things that organisations from the Fawcett Society to actually Grazia magazine are highlighting as real issues now for women with the pay gap.
Are you saying
increasing.
The Ford issue is now historic?
Well, I mean, it was 40-odd years ago, wasn't it, that they fought for equal pay?
Oh, I see.
So in that sense, yeah, that's sort of a historic campaign. What people are campaigning for now is to reduce the growing income gap between men and women
Sure.
at this point,
Sure.
which I think is an issue that is quite shameful, not just here in London but across the country. And
Well,
I think, but what is your enterprise panel doing specifically on pay for women in London?
Well, as I say, I mean, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you a bit just now. I thought there was some particular case of inequality in pay that
It was 40 years ago, it's still happening now.
you wish to highlight. And I think that would be, frankly, the most useful way forward. I think what we need to do is to be quite forensic about this and to isolate cases of manifest injustice and to make a fuss about them. And I'm more than happy to join you, Fiona. You mentioned some evidence from Grazia, I think, or another publication. I'm more than happy to if there's some substance there, there's some cases in London where we can isolate discrimination against women in the workforce.
Well, there's particular sectors, so the creative sector, medical sector, and so on, for example. And if I can move on to another issue around income inequality, which is particularly linked to those who are on 0 hours contracts. And nationally, there's 1.4 million people, according to the Office for National Statistics, who are currently employed on 0 hours contracts. And on average, those people who are on 0 hours contracts, and I know previously you've stated your support for people being on 0 hours contracts rather than being unemployed, but on average, they earn just half that of those on more conventional contracts. So I think it's around £236 a week compared to £482. So for those people, obviously there's a sort of an issue around low pay. Do you have current estimate for the number of workers in London currently employed on 0 hours contracts?
I'd be very happy to get you any statistics we have on that. What I can say about low pay generally, on 0 hours contracts, I think the evidence I'm hearing now is that they can be okay, and I think in some cases perhaps you have to be a little bit cautious about the way they're being used. And so my thinking on this has evolved as it often does. And I've been talking to some business leaders who are concerned, who share your concerns and the concerns that members have raised about some 0 hours. That is not to say that I think we should have a blanket ban on them. As I've said before in this place, I think it is much, much better to get people into work, to get young people into a place of work, teach them what it is to be an employee, than for them to be languishing on benefits and not getting the confidence that they need. So I think that apprenticeships, the schemes that we're pushing forward, the success we're having in getting many young people in London into work is the way forward. I'd much rather see people at a desk in the company of others in a workplace environment than losing the momentum and out of work.
Okay, I mean, it is about young people, but it's not just about young people. And I recently hosted a round-table discussion on 0 hours, which did include businesses as well as employer and employee representatives. And I think there is a staggering amount of consensus about the need to reform 0 hours contracts. Not just, I'm coming at it from the rights of workers, but I think there's also issues around productivity and skills. And if you've got people who are only working 10, 15 hours a week, not only are they not able then to access the benefits that they'd be entitled to if they're working a bit more, but they're sort of basically not economically productive for those hours.
No, I understand that completely. Can I make a proposal, Fiona, which is on these concerns about how 0 hours contracts may be operating? Can I propose that that KIT, that you take it up with KIT, and we have a look at what we can do through the LEP to give further advice about this, because I am starting to receive mixed messages, as you say.
Okay, thank you.
Assembly